Hello and welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of A New Go of New Home Sales. I'm your host, Anya Chrisanthon, and I am very excited to welcome our guest for today, Erik Cofield. Erik is the VP of Builder Strategy with BuilderChain. So welcome to the show, Erik. I am very excited for our conversation today.
Thank you so much, Anya. Me too. I have seen your work for years, and so for me to be sitting here, it's a privilege. So thanks very much.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It always makes me so happy when people come up to me and say, oh, we listen or I've been following. Because sometimes with these things, it's a one way. You don't know if it's actually resonates with people listening or what's going on. So I'm very happy to have you on the show today. So Erik, we'd like to kick things off by giving our listeners a little bit of a preview of your story. So tell us, how did you get into home building industry?
Okay, so I've been in the industry about 30 years. I used to have long blonde hair at the time. I was doing some business process consulting for a company in Florida who also had some web development business operations that they were selling for or to builders. And this was back at a time when a virtual walkthrough cost over $50,000, right? Because it was really advanced state of the art. And I remember talking to Maria Pasquinelli up in Chicago and talking to her really about what she wanted to achieve for her company. And the salesperson that was with me was talking about the price and what they could see as results from this kind of solution. And it was just like nothing for a builder to spend 50 grand. I'm like, wow, that's a lot of money. So I was doing this business process consulting and helping them fill in as a strategist for builders. So I'm going to Chicago with the salesperson and helping her with the builder. And then I get back and the people in Florida said, we would really like you to join our company, not just as a business process consultant, but really to help us with the company. So I did, and that was 30 years ago. And that was my entrance into the construction industry. And what I realized was, and this is true for everybody listening to the podcast, when my pastor asked me to teach Bible study when I was a teenager, I said, Bible study? Oh, I can't teach Bible study. I don't know the Bible. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh. He goes, you realize we're talking about first graders, right? And I said, okay, but still I don't know the Bible. And he goes, can you read the story and know the story the night before church? I said, okay, yes, I could do that. And he said, then to the first graders, you're the expert. I said, okay. So I taught Bible study for many years, and it was my privilege and my honor and a blessing for me. And I've realized that in life, if I know more than whomever I'm talking to, whether it's my grandkids about social media or whether it's a builder about artificial intelligence, if I know more than they do, then I can help them. And so that has stayed with me for 50 years. Wow, 50 years. I'm old. But it's really true that if you are a person like I am who loves to share knowledge and help others grow and learn, then I think being a lifelong learner is important, because even me in my 60s, I'm too far from retirement to just give up and stop learning. And so I like helping builders learn and run a better business, and I've been doing it for decades.
Love that. And it's so great that you had that experience early on to say, oh, who am I? Because I think a lot of people really think that way. We know so much. And oftentimes we're like, who am I to teach them?
Right.
What I know is not unusual, but it is. I came across that so many times, even with social media or just with what I do, that it seems so easy for me and no brainer. And nobody would ever pay money for that. And then to other people, it's woo, it's like you're a rocket scientist here. So
Right.
it's really funny that a lot of times we underestimate our own abilities and our own knowledge and how valuable it is. And so I'm glad you found
Yeah.
the building industry and that you've been sharing your knowledge ever since.
Yeah. The other thing is that nobody is one dimensional, right? So if you disagree with them on religion or politics or whatever, I have to realize that every person has value. Even the people with extreme disabilities have value. And the joy is to find that value in other people as opposed to the differences, right? Because we all have so many similarities. If we would just focus on the similarities instead of the differences, we'd all be better off.
Yes, I 100% agree with you. Erik, now that you're with BuilderChain, could you give us a quick little overview of BuilderChain and how it leverages AI to help home builders?
Yeah, AI, artificial intelligence, is hot. It's really transforming society at a rapid pace. I can only compare it to the internet. It is really transformative. And artificial intelligence is a broad category with many different types: generative, general, artificial superintelligence, robotics, expert, machine learning. There's all these different types. And they're each defined on how they're used and what they can do. But BuilderChain's unique position is that we not only help the company understand what they're trying to do, but then we help them. That's typically their largest constraint. Typically, what they're trying to do is overcome their roadblock, their challenge, their largest constraint, which is where do you have the most backlog of work in progress? But we then help them create queries or tools that we run through a platform called, or it's a platform by Palantir Technologies, PLTR, on the New York Stock Exchange. Palantir Technologies is a vast global company with an amazing platform. And they help companies like Tesla and Lowe's and some of America's largest builders. They handle 100% of the hospital beds and nurse scheduling in the UK, about 20% in the United States. 20% of nurse scheduling in the United States is pretty big. Every branch of the government spends hundreds of millions of dollars with them. They're really big. Mm-hmm. So it means that their platform that creates solutions is vast. So we help these builders create the queries and the tools that they need to run through that platform, data into the platform, in other words, and then on the other side of that platform are results. And that could be workflows or formulas or whatever kind of results they're looking for. But unlike those companies that spend millions of dollars, we only charge by the compute second. So even small companies can find solutions using this vast platform, and it democratizes AI. But that's what we do. We help them figure out what they want to solve. Then we help them write the tools to solve them. We push that through Palantir with them. And on the other side, whatever actionable, intelligent data that they have, if they want help putting that into place, we'll do that too. I'm focused on the residential construction industry. Other people in our company are focused on commercial construction.
Mm-hmm. So, Erik, before we get into some of the examples that BuilderChain can really help solve home builders using this Palantir's Foundry platform, in your opinion, what are some of the most significant challenges that are being faced by home building industry right now? And do you think AI can solve those or help address those challenges?
Yeah, AI is amazing. And we help not just home builders, but anyone in residential construction, suppliers, manufacturers, large trade partners, et cetera. AI is not going to do everything. If you're a modular builder, your constraint is drywall drying sufficiently. You can't move the units farther down the assembly line without that drywall happening, right? And AI isn't going to impact that. AI could help you get a bigger factory and have more space or some other things, but it's not going to make the drywall dry faster. So AI isn't going to solve everything, but it can solve a lot. The challenges are different, not just between home builders and trade partners and manufacturers, but even within home builders. Let's just say we help companies of every size, 5 custom homes a year, 50,000 homes a year. But if you're doing 500 homes a year, your biggest roadblock might be supply chain management and purchasing, or it might be land, it might be labor, it just depends. The nice thing about AI is that not only AI, but the platform that we use, Palantir, is that almost any challenge, not every challenge, but almost any challenge can be impacted by some amount of artificial intelligence. And it's really just a matter of understanding what you want to do. I'll give you a quick example, and this is public knowledge. It's not anything I'm giving away. But Lennar, I don't know how many communities they have, but 2,000, which is a lot. But if you can imagine a company like Lennar, they have however many pieces and parts to build each of their floor plans. They have trade partners and suppliers and manufacturers that are the same in some communities, but different in other communities. They're subsets. Now they have regions and sections of the country where you can use some things, but not others. For them to understand what to buy, what's the best price to get, from which vendor, for which community, it's not really something that they can analyze. Even as big and powerful and resourceful as they are, they couldn't do that. Now AI enters the mix. Now they can take data from a bunch of different sources, their accounting system, their ERP system, their CRM system, whatever, their website analytics, put it all into this vast platform to spit out the analysis and calculations and stuff that they need that tells them exactly, okay, by part number 121 from this vendor, by part number 122 from this vendor. It's amazing. And I don't know how many millions they spent, but it wasn't much compared to saving $2 to $8 million per community times whatever, 1,400 communities, I don't know. It's huge. The ROI is huge. So who wouldn't want that? Would I spend 10 million to save 5 billion? Yeah. So that's just one example. But basically what we want to do is help that company understand what they're trying to solve, whatever challenge that is, because it's different from each company. And there are three things that every company needs to address. Every company, no matter what type, no matter what size. Their cost of goods sold. They need to reduce their cost of goods sold or keep it as low as possible. They need to sell more, the ability to sell more. And they need to sell faster or produce faster. So they've got to increase their throughput. Now, the old adage was you can have good, fast, or cheap, but you can only have two. I don't know. With AI, you might get all three now. I think that adage might be outdated, but that's what every company needs to do. Some companies, they say, hey, my cost of goods sold is really good, but I need to sell more. Or I'm selling a lot, but I need to produce them faster. So my construction cycle time needs to go from 9 months to 8 months to 7 months. Okay. So whatever of those three that we can help with, all three or even one, that's what we're trying to do. And every company's challenge is different. And that's my role. My role is to talk to them about strategy, what they want to achieve, and how they can achieve it. And I love it. It's a perfect role for me.
Hey, when you're trying to save people lots of money, it's got to be
Yeah,
pretty great feeling. So
that's a great feeling.
yeah. So Erik, you mentioned one use case with Lennar. Can you give us a couple other examples and maybe in really layman's terms, because I think when most people, they've probably never heard of Palantir Foundry, like they have no idea what that means. Can you break it down and explain how does this platform enables this AI driven solution for the construction industry specifically? And most of our audience are home builders. So if you can speak in home builder terms for somebody
Yeah,
who's never heard of this, like how does this work?
sure. So most, probably all home builders have data in multiple locations, right? They have their CRM system, they have website analytics, their accounting system, their ERP or project management system, et cetera, et cetera. It's really difficult to make actionable intelligence and data-driven decisions when you have data in a bunch of different areas. One of the beautiful things about an AI platform, almost any of them, is that you take data from a bunch of different sources. You put it in as one. Now the platform can analyze a bunch of data pieces together. And I'm going to give you an example. And then push out one, whatever solution you're looking for. If it's a workflow, if it's process suggestions, if it's formulas, whatever that query tool that you're writing, asking the system to do. I'll give you an example. If you came to me and you said, I want to know what my online sales counselor, what floor plans are the most likely to sell. Okay, well, where's that data coming from? If you have a database of 500 prospects at whatever level they are, you have website analytics. At some point, someplace, what floor plans you've sold more of, you know what options you've sold more of, or what options have more profit margin. But this data is all over the place. So if I said, I want my salespeople to know who to call first, who's the most likely to buy, what floor plans are they most likely to buy, what options are they most likely to buy? That's not something most builders can tell you right now. But with AI, you get to take all of this disparate data, put it in the system churns it, calculates it, analyzes it, and says, okay, of the 400 database prospects you have, you should call these 27 first. And they're most likely to buy the Winchester model, and they're most likely to buy elongated cabinets or whatever. And now the people doing the work at your company can be more efficient, more effective, and you as a company can be more profitable. Why should you sell a extended patio when most people will buy something else? So if they will buy a more expensive countertop or a different brand of faucet or whatever, sell them what they want to buy. But the problem is most people don't know what they want to buy. The salesperson doesn't know what they want to buy. So there's all this Q&A and trying to find out and whatever. But if we could make it easy for the salesperson to lead with the floor plan. Oh, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, you wanted a 4-bedroom, 3-bath. I might suggest the Winchester model, blah, blah, blah. And in fact, what if this could come up in real time? That would be even better. As you're on the phone, AI listens to, we're looking for a 4-bedroom, 3-bath. We have 3 kids. We want master on the downstairs. Oh, and up comes in front of the salesperson or OSC, sell the Winchester. Okay, great. So we're really trying to make the companies get to a level of operational gain and operational efficiency. And of course, with real-time accurate data, you can make real-time accurate decisions. And that's the key to the secret sauce. Builders have all this data in a bunch of different locations. It's just hard to make sense of that in terms of actionable data. But AI can certainly help with that.
Yeah, it sounds like a magic wand, right? Wow, this is amazing. And so, of
Well,
course,
it takes setup. It looks like a magic wand only after a lot of hard work and setup. But then you're right. Then you push it through the system, and out comes the other side. And you think, "Oh my gosh, this is amazing!" Yeah, but it took somebody some substantial brain power to put it all together, and that's what we help with.
you mentioned it all works with all your different systems, but it does take data, right? Like we have to put in some data to get anything meaningful out. So how does this integrate? Is it API? It does
Yeah,
seem a little overwhelming. I think
yeah,
for most home builders, they're not
yeah.
exactly techy when
Right.
it comes to all of this. Talk to me a little bit more about that, the
Yeah,
integration.
I'll give you a couple more use cases too. What Lowe's did and what any business to business or business to consumer company can do. Let's just say you want to add a customer service engine into your operation, right? So the customer can call you and say, hey, my paint is wet under the dining room window. You've lived there for 3 weeks, your paint's not wet, your window's leaking. But anyway, they can call and create a service call. And let's say that's manual right now, but you want to automate it. Okay, Palantir has, think of it as a template. That's a simplistic view, but it's a set of objects and codes and workflows and all of this stuff. It's already created. We just customize it for you, for what you want to do. So let's just say it has a series of 5 emails that say XYZ, but you want those emails to say 1, 2, 3. Okay, we just change it. You don't need programming or coding experience. because the template's already created. Or let's say Lennar's case, the supply chain management or the purchasing management, or another use case would be scheduling. If you were a trade partner that had 25 trucks around the region, you can schedule all your service calls, your people. If you let each driver schedule themselves, we're going to promise you they're not going to be that efficient. If you let AI schedule everybody, now AI knows the train tracks, the red lights, the right turns, the left turns. Now you're going to get more efficient scheduling, especially in terms of geography where all your service calls are. So there's all kinds of use cases, but these templates are pre-set up. And that's what allows a company like BuilderChain to help the customer go through those things. We call it a boot camp, but we'll take 3 to 5 days. We'll set up your queries and your tools using the templates for whatever solution you want. You're not creating the framework. You're not coding or programming. You're just saying, okay, when this happens, I want my customer service agent to send this email. Okay, great. So that's what allows them to really create these solutions without a lot of, it's work, don't get me wrong. We call it a boot camp because it's virtual, right? They're not traveling anywhere, but there's thought process that has to go in, and that's what we help with. But you're not having to code. If line 10 equals this, go to line 25. None of that. The Palantir folks have already done that, and they have a team of nerds. But look, nerds have value too, right?
Absolutely. Nerds are very valuable. They're the unicorns, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And once we help a company come up with a solution and they say, oh my gosh, this is magic. It's magic with a lot of upfront work. Yeah, but you know what? I want to do something else. It is very addictive to come up with solutions. In the case of a hospital, let's say the hospital schedules all their nurses. Now they want to schedule their hospital beds. Now they want to schedule their operating rooms. Now they want to schedule their doctors. For home builders, once they start getting some solutions, they go, that constraint has been solved or reduced. My next biggest constraint is this. Okay, let's tackle that. And so it's fun for me because I get to see the magic go off in their eyes. Like, oh my gosh, wow, I never knew. Lennar could never have calculated all that complexity by themselves. Even with a team of people and advanced software, it would take them forever. And the data would all be stale by the time they got to the solution. They'd have to start over. So seeing these companies get the solutions and realizing that they can make real changes that improve not only their bottom line, but the day in the life of the employee as well. We're talking about work-life balance. We're talking about being able to go home at 5:30 p.m. instead of 7:30 p.m. We're talking about dinner with your wife and your kids. This is good stuff. And so it makes me very happy to help change not just the company's systems, processes, and operation, but really impact their personal lives as well.
Yeah. And that's got to be a great feeling. So no technical knowledge required. If you are like, hey, I've been hearing about AI, but it's just for marketing. Look, there's a lot of applications right here. So Erik, I'm curious, what's been like the most surprising application to you to date where you're like, wow, I never thought that this would be possible? Or was there something that really surprised you?
Yeah, there sure is. There's two things and they're interconnected. We sell an AI-enabled construction trailer called a command post. This is an amazing piece of equipment. And it's not even that expensive. But imagine an unmanned construction trailer where trades can go in via a code, get their marching orders for the day, and that sends data back to headquarters. It has 1 or 2 drones on the top. You can manage those drones from some remote location. You can use those drones to do building inspections. You fly around the neighborhood. You can use the drones to provide security at night to your construction sites. You can use the drone. Here's the one that really surprised me. I didn't think of it. It's probably not surprising had I thought of it, but this company is using those drones for marketing videos, right? So they're using the drones for some other stuff, but also the drones go around and take video of the house in progress and send that video to the consumer. Here's your house in progress. Obviously, you don't, if your vendor is tying ladders together for scaffolding, you don't want to take a video of that. But I didn't really think of the AI-enabled construction trailer as a way to take marketing videos to the consumer. But for sure, you can do that. And when you consider traffic and weather and the complexity of running a construction site, unmanned construction trailers make a lot of sense. And the drones make a lot of sense. Security is a big issue at night for these construction sites. But the thing that works with that, and I knew that this was coming, I just didn't know what it would be capable of. We have these telemetry pendants that your superintendent can wear, and it's constantly collecting data and sending it back to headquarters. And there's all kinds of data, and that's a whole nother conversation. But telemetry pendants, AI-enabled construction trailers, it's a new day. It's a new day. So I don't even know what's coming next, right? I have no idea what's coming next, but it's an exciting time because the builders and trade partners and suppliers, manufacturers, developers, when you look at what you can do now, it's amazing, but it's just the beginning. What if I told you as a custom builder, I could give you a report of everybody that just bought land and you can now contact them before they contacted a builder? Okay, great. What if your OSC, like I said, your OSC could have a call list of who to call first? Because some OSCs, some builders are notorious for like not following up. They've made one phone call. It's crazy. But anyway.
We just had a podcast on that I want to say something like 30% of builders, when they receive an online form, they never actually reach out to a prospect, which is mind-boggling.
Right. So obviously AI can reach out to those consumers, whether the salesperson is working or not, but people want to connect with people. It's not about dating. It's not about how good looking you are. It's about making a human connection. And AI is not going to replace every human connection, right? Mm-hmm. I don't get that if you're a salesperson, the way you make money is by following up with leads that the builder has paid dearly for, and then you don't follow up on them. Right. That's not acceptable. But at least the builder can circumvent the salesperson's unwillingness to an extent with AI. Although the bigger problem is the builder needs to deal with the salesperson to actually get them to do what they're supposed to do. You would think compensation would be enough motivation, but it's not always.
Yeah, that's a whole other conversation. Yeah. And what's coming later, like you said, it's probably going to be the robots, but the AI is enabling. I don't know if you've seen those robot factories in China.
Yeah,
I recently posted something on my LinkedIn. It's straight out of Westworld, and they look so realistic. Yeah. Like it's creepy.
It's creepy.
But that's, if you think about robots, we've been using robots for a long time in manufacturing. In my previous career, I had an opportunity to tour many different manufacturing facilities, and I was always amazed at the automation happening there. These giant machines just moving independently of the humans, doing a heavy lifting. And it really took that development of AI in order to really perfect some of the smaller movements that are so easy for people, but yet so difficult for the machines, because they can do like the repetitive motions, but anything that's like very intricate, like construction, for example, right? That is tricky. But I definitely see robots on a construction site coming. I think in the next 5 years, we're going to have robots on a construction site. I wouldn't be surprised in the least bit how fast things have been moving.
Yeah, we already have builders. There's a builder in Austin. I guess I shouldn't say their name, but they're doing 3D printed houses with robots.
Lennar is doing that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so we already have robots. And I think in general, the things that humans can do very well, they'll continue doing as humans. Mm-hmm. But we've replaced a lot of positions. How many people go through a toll booth and see a human being collecting their 75 cents? I don't see any for years.
Right. Yeah.
And more and more facilities, when I go see the doctor, They are all cashless. It's probably we will not have anywhere near as much cash in 10 years. For a lot of reasons, governmental regulation and monitoring and some other stuff, we are veering towards a cashless society. I remember the days when I said, can I use my credit card at Starbucks for $1.95? And they said, $5 minimum.
Right.
Now it doesn't matter, right? If I want to charge 75 cents, I just whip out my credit card, tap it, go. So things change. And if I can leave everybody with one thing today, you can profit by adopting change. Change is the only constant. If you put your head in the sand, if you ignore it, you are not serving yourself, your family, your grandkids, your unborn great-grandchildren. You're not serving yourself well by pushing change away from you. If you adopt change, if you embrace change, if you look at change as a way to upskill yourself, stay in the mix, whatever it is. I used to read a Bible, like a big, heavy Bible, go to the pages. Now I listen to a Bible, and it's much easier. I get much more Bible in an hour that way than having to read it. But that's what I would like everyone to learn.
That's a great
Adopt the change for your benefit, because you will be so much better off by learning new ways of doing things. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, I got sidetracked.
No, this is a big part of AI conversation, because most people are scared of it. And you and I talked a little bit about my background, that the fact that my family immigrated from Russia when I was 13. And so that kind of catapulted me into a change, into an environment where I had to change very quickly. So that first year of my life in US was very traumatic and turbulent, because I didn't speak English. I was thrown into high school, and it's just good luck. But that's been the best thing that's ever happened to me, because it really allowed me to become very flexible and adaptable. And I think that's been the biggest game changer for me as an adult, is to be able to have those skills and be very comfortable with change, where most people are so uncomfortable when it comes to change. So I absolutely agree with you. I think it's one of the best things you can do. So Erik, you talked a lot about needing this data in order to set up those processes. So obviously data security is a big conversation, and we constantly hear about data breaches these days. So can you talk to us a little bit about how does BuilderChain really ensure that the client's data is safe and secure?
BuilderChain doesn't handle the data. The data goes into the Palantir platform, and the builder is the one pushing their data into the Palantir platform. Now, you can imagine Palantir, which is worth billions of dollars and does business with every branch of the government, and some very high, it has arguably the most security one could have, because our national security is at stake. The lives of every soldier on every branch of the military are at stake. So I don't work for Palantir, so I don't know their security level, but it's intense. And so I don't think they've had any data breach or any kind of issue, but your data from a bunch of different sources going into the platform, analyzing, spitting out. That's a very simplistic view, but that's basically it. But they're the ones handling the data security. And because your data isn't going a bunch of places, right? It's going to one location, it's computing and analyzing, and the data isn't being transferred in a stored capacity, right? We're not taking your database of prospects and storing it on Palantir. It's looking at the data. It's transforming the data, but it's not transferring the data. There's two words that if anybody hears, I want to explain them, because nerds speak in nerd language. There's something called the Palantir ontology. That's really the operational layer, the computing going on. And then there is the Foundry. If you hear Foundry, this is really the AI-enabled application builder. This is like taking that customer service engine as an example and personalizing it for your workflow. If you're a software company selling to builders your software, and they say, hey, I can't get my purchase orders to show up. Okay, that's business to business. That you could have a customer service engine for that. That would be a different service engine than, what did I say earlier? The paint is wet under the dining room window, right? That's a business to consumer service engine. But the template is the same. How you personalize it is for your workflow. The data security is not the same as when you think of like Bank of America that has your data, or any bank. I shouldn't say Bank of America, but we were talking privately about Bank of America. And so any company using Palantir, I can't speak for the other platforms. There's several other platforms. I just happen to know Palantir. And that's what BuilderChain uses, because we can do it on a fractional per second basis. So you don't have to spend millions. We have companies that spend $1,600 a month, and the ROI is extreme. So anyway, I don't think data security is really an issue with regard to how these solutions are created. One of the big benefits is not just to compute and analyze the data and spit out results, but we can transform data. So let's just say you're a builder and you've got a CRM system and you want it connected to your project management system, but the two don't talk to each other. There's no API. The data is in different formats. This is XYZ format, that's 123 format. They don't talk. Okay, but we can take XYZ data in, transform it to 123 data, and connect those two systems together. There are builders that have not been able to do that for years, and now they can. That's huge. Or talk about operational efficiency. Or let's say you're a software company and you haven't really upgraded your software as much as you should have. So it's getting to be what we call legacy software. It doesn't have all the bells and whistles that you want it to have. And you're not going to go spend thousands and thousands of dollars coding and programming your software. Pardon me?
More like millions when it comes to software.
Millions, yeah. We can add onto and extend your software by data transformation. And gosh, that's why people say, what can AI do? And sometimes my answer is, what do you want it to do? What are you wanting to solve? You've got to come to me with what you want to solve. Then I can talk strategy with you. And some people say, I don't know what I want to solve. Then I can go through, okay, here's some typical roadblocks for a production builder or whatever. And they go, oh yeah, that is an issue. Okay, is that your biggest issue? Because usually it's wherever there's the most backlog. And some builders say, I can sell houses all day long. I can't build them fast enough. Other builders say, I don't have enough labor. Okay, whatever the constraint is. That's why we have a job board on our BuilderChain online community, which has a free level, by the way. We see labor as a big problem. So we have a job board for hiring companies and for job seekers. We also have a swag store. We have articles. We have lots of resources on our online community, and there's a free level. There's also a paid level if you want to, get fancy. But we want to bring the community together, and so we have this online portal, and we want to foster communication. If you are a QuickBooks Pro advisor and a builder says, hey, how do I do this with my purchase orders? Talk. And eventually you're going to build a relationship. At some point, the builder may say, hey, I want to pay you as my QuickBooks Pro advisor. Great, let them go do that. But we want people to learn and to educate themselves and to get value. And so we've created the BuilderChain online community as just a way to foster a lot of collaboration between subject matter experts, consultants, builders, suppliers, manufacturers. Anybody in the industry can join.
How can people find this online community?
Really, they need a code. For the free level, they need a code from me or someone at BuilderChain. The best way is to email me, Erik, E-R-I-K, because I'm Norwegian, E-R-I-K at builderchain.io. I'll give them a code. They can join. They can play around. They can read the articles. They can engage. They can ask questions. They can buy a BuilderChain cap or t-shirt or pen or whatever. They can post their resume anonymously. Because if you're a hiring company, you're really trying to get to the people who aren't looking for a job. But builders need people. And I created an internship program at the Greater Houston Builders Association decades ago or whatever it was. And it was phenomenal because especially for a lot of kids who are growing up on the wrong side of the railroad tracks. They're not going to go to college, but they could really use a summer with a builder, and the builder can get some very inexpensive labor, minimum wage kind of stuff, and teach them how to just carry the drywall or hang the drywall or whatever. So I think our job board is going to be probably pretty huge. Yeah.
And I'll be sure to post Erik's email so you guys can easily check the show notes and get that over to him so he can give you that free code.
Yeah.
And so, Erik, as we're wrapping things up here on the podcast today, looking ahead, how do you envision AI transforming the home building industry over the next 5 to 10 years? And what steps do you think businesses should take right now in order to be prepared for that change?
So the first thing is they need to take action right now. If you want to outposition your competition, you're late. You're already late. Take action now. Learn about it. Of course, they can call me without any sales push or whatever and talk AI. They can go online to all kinds of resources and learn about the types of AI, listening to podcasts. If they give me their email address, I'll put them just on our educational webinar. And so the number one thing is to take action. Do not delay. Do not put your head in the sand, because all you're going to do is taste more and more sand. AI is grossly transformative, as I mentioned earlier, with extreme, or I'm not going to name names, but there's a company that spent $5 million. No, I'm sorry. I'm just saying they spent $10 million, but they were saving $5 million times 900 and something communities. It's 9 zeros. It's a lot. Then there's a smaller company that spent around 20,000, but that we proved and they proved to themselves that they were saving 80,000. Who doesn't want to spend 20K to save 80K?
Hey, that sounds
That's
like
a
a no-brainer.
smaller builder. But look, so the difference is 60K. What would you do with 60K? Heck
I
of a
don't
Christmas
know.
party, bonuses, or whatever. You can finally justify that $100,000 pickup that you don't need. Anyway, I would say take action. The second thing is learn, and then start small. Look at what your biggest constraint is in your company. Small steps towards solving that biggest constraint. Because once that goes away or reduces, you're going to see a new constraint that you didn't really care about. I was
It's
talking
quite
to a modular,
addicting.
pardon me?
I'm sure it's quite addicting to once you get started.
It's addicting, yeah. I was talking to a modular builder on the factory, and their constraint was drywall drying. And they had some other constraints. But let's just say a production builder. If your trade partners can only do 5 homes a day, and that's your biggest constraint, once you solve that, now you see, oh, I can only get parts for this other thing. And so now my new constraint is this many homes a day.
Mhm.
So yeah, solve one thing, just start small, because I think that AI can be used for negative purposes as well. And so what I really hope is that builders don't go to a fly-by-night company, pay a lot of money and get nothing. So we do a proof of concept. We have a boot camp. We don't charge you. If you don't like the results, we don't charge you. So I think if you look for a company that really values the relationship and has policies like the first 30 days are free, that's our policy. So you can prove it to yourself, right? Because if they want to charge you up front and all this stuff, I wouldn't do it. It's just so easy for companies to promise one thing and not deliver. So look for a company to help you that has policies that will protect you. And that's just good advice for anybody, right? So
Absolutely.
that's my advice. But I think it's going to totally transform the industry. It's already transformed other industries, but builders are historically slow to adopt technology, which could be a good thing in this case, but they do need to look at AI, because if you don't embrace AI, you're really going to fall behind, and it's going to be impossible to catch up.
Yes, I agree with you, Erik. I think it is bigger than anything that we've seen in any technological advancement. I agree with you that it's like the like of going from print to digital, except in a much bigger way, because it's going to impact so much more. And I think people are like our CEO John Lee likes to say, people are just like chilling on the beach right now, relaxing, not realizing that the tsunami wave is actually coming. Like, it's already, the water has been pulling back and the tsunami is coming. So
Yeah.
and it's going to affect everything.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Speaking of tsunamis and water, people use Chat GPT. I love Chat GPT, right? Give me a recipe for a pecan pie. Okay. I don't even have to go to Google to look it up. But that is the tip of the tip of the tip of the iceberg
Yeah.
in
But
terms of what.
it's going to be a big one too, because speaking of Google, Apple just teamed up with ChatGPT, and they're going to make Google optional. So you know what's going to happen with all the search results? If people are using ChatGPT, are you showing up?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And in
SEO,
terms of search
goodbye.
results, the
Yeah.
work you do for builders, the work Inugo does is so important for builders, but it's going to change. And I know John's already ahead of the curve, but builders need to embrace what you are offering, because you can't do what you used to do and get the same results, right? Never more true than today.
Yes. It's been such a great conversation, Erik. I feel like I could just keep talking with you for hours and hours about this. So tell our listeners, how can people learn more about BuilderChain, and how can they get started with you if they want to see if this is something that could work for them? What's the best way to
Yeah.
get started?
Our website is builderchain.io. My email is erik@builderchain.io. It always starts with a conversation. There's no pressure. My role is strategy. So I want to know what you're trying to achieve. That has to be a conversation. We may not be able to help you, but if we can, we'll tell you how and give you some advice on some nuances, some tips, some tricks, things to watch out for. It's just a conversation. It's not a sales push. We really value long-term relationships. And we know, just when I was running the education department at the Greater Houston Builders Association, same thing. I told the speakers, don't sell. If they know you know what you're talking about and they have a need, they're smart enough to contact you. They will contact you. And BuilderChain has that philosophy. We provide value, we provide knowledge. And if you want more, then talk to us about that. If you don't, good luck and God bless. We're not here to push you for anything. We have so many solutions for so many, can't chase people. It's just not what we do. So if you want help, the ball is in your court. We're happy to help.
Love that. It's a perfect place to end our podcast for today. Erik, I thank you so very much for being on today. Again, it's been such a stimulating conversation for me. It's so nice to talk with like-minded people who see the value, who are enthused about technology and AI, because again, so many of our in our industry are still skeptic, which healthy amount of skepticism is okay for sure.
Yeah.
But I just get excited when I can geek out with somebody like you. So thank you
Well,
for that. And
my pleasure.
hopefully I will see you in person at one of the
Yeah.
upcoming events in home building industry. Is there anything that you're going to this summer that our listeners should know?
International Builder Show next year, but I used to travel and do all kinds of speaking engagements, but I'm so busy. I love to. I see you and the work you and John and Sarah are all doing. I think Inugo is doing really great work for builders.
Thank you.
And I see you bouncing around to these summits and whatever. I'm like, oh man, I want to do that, but I don't have time. I'm so sorry. I would love to go, but everything is virtual. Our boot camps, our conversations, our meetings. I just don't have to travel anymore, which my wife likes, but I miss some of that travel.
Yeah, I hear you. It is like, for me, I'm at home all the time, and this is my office. This is where I work 24/7. So the only time I get out is when I travel. Otherwise, I don't see anybody except for my husband and my kids. So
Yeah. Anyway, thank you so much. The work you guys are doing are great. And I'll continue to stalk you and travel armchair with you. But thanks so much to you and John and everybody at Inugo.
thank you. And likewise, and I will keep those pictures coming so you guys can all live vicariously through me at this conference. So talk to you very soon. Bye.